Welcome back to Just Giants with Grump and the Cranky Fan, the best damn podcast for the best damn football team. I am your host, the Football Grump, and with me at long last is the Cranky Fan. It's been a while. How are you, Cranky Fan?
Grump, I haven't talked to you in a while, buddy. What's going on? It's last time I talked to you, I had a playoff beard. I had a team in the Stanley Cup Finals, and as you can see, no more beard, no more hockey, nothing.
No more smile.
No more smile. So we're in the dog days of summer for everything, but never a dog day talking to you, Grump, and never a dog day talking about our beloved New York Football Giants.
No, once you get used to the fact that it's always dog days for the Giants, it doesn't feel like the dog days anymore. Get excited for things all over again.
Yeah.
I'm good. I have a very uneven tan that's sort of happening, and I'm seeing now on my face is worse than I thought. As I was wearing sunglasses. So that's that. That's why that looks like that.
Well, you are the master of the tank top, so, you know.
I am. Well, my arms are great. My arms and shoulders are nice and tan. My face, though, it's always been a problem.
This shoulder is about a month away from surgery because it's been hurting for months. I've been going to physical therapy. It's not working, so as soon as I get my MRI results, I get the okay, I will be going under the knife, so...
Now, see, that plays into my hand because I don't think that you're going to get surgery before the boat trip.
Oh no, it's going to definitely be in August. So.
Yeah. That's going to affect your fish catching ability.
I am a friggin' mess in all sorts of physical ways, but and mental as well. But what Grump's referring to is, some of you may or may not know, we are actually related. We are cousins. And we have a big family fishing trip every year, and it's always high stakes, lots of gambling, lots of pools, lots of money exchanged, and by the time it will not happen by the time you listen to this or watch this. So the shit talking will start.
It will come. Yeah.
You can follow us along on Twitter at @football_grump and the Cranky Fan to hear this because I'm sure it's on top of everybody's excitement list as who catches more fish. So.
It really pisses me off because before this show happened, I'm pretty sure I caught more fish than you every single year. And as soon as we started a show, I just stopped being able to catch fish. And you have just absolutely you have started off so poorly every year where you had nothing until like the final stop, and then you just completely outpaced me.
Hey, fishing, first of all, it's called fishing and not catching. And second of all, it's a sprint, not a marathon. I don't care what you do at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's at 12:30. That's what happens.
It's a sprint, not a marathon? Isn't it the other way around?
Actually, you're right. That's why I don't know. Look, guys, it's the middle of the summer. We're all delirious. We all need something to do with our time. So.
And what better way to spend our summer than doing what we do every summer, and that's doing our season predictions. This year we're going to split it in half, and the reason is pretty simple.
And what exactly are we doing, Grump?
So we go through the schedule and we give our predictions on how the game will play out as of today, like July. So assuming fully healthy rosters as best we can, and just logistically speaking, and it's just kind of a for fun thing. But we predict a win or a loss, and then we mark it in pen or pencil based on our confidence in that answer. And it's just kind of a for fun thing, and we like to look back at it later on in the year when we're like, man, what were we thinking?
This year, we're actually going to do that, which every year we make these wild predictions and we just forget about them. But this year, I am actually going to write them down on this piece of paper.
I
will refer to it throughout the year. And as we
the reason we haven't done it is because we were so shocked at how bad they were the last. It was just like we're just like, it's not how many games they were losing. It was just like literally the product in the field where it's like we have more important shit to talk about. Like we didn't predict them to be this bad. You know what I mean? So it's like it wasn't even worth revisiting. But this year is a little different. We used to do this in like 3 or 4 episodes and really dive into like thoughts on like roster matchups and stuff. Let's be honest. We don't think the Giants are going to the playoffs this year. It's not really a reason to go super in depth. And this is just a for fun thing anyway. So I'm just kind of looking at things in a basic level. And it's just, this is a little bit more for fun.
Yeah, and the way we do this is, when we say pen and pencil, it's like our confidence that we are going to win or lose. It's not in pen means we're going to win by 45 or lose by 45. It's just, are we going to win this game or lose this game? I'm confident we're winning this one. I'm confident we're losing it. It's no indication of margin of victory or anything like that. So
it's basically if you're not sure of something and you're wondering if it's the less analytical or the more analytical version of what you're thinking, just err on the side of less. This is fun. And what better fun way
depends on how this plays out. This might produce tears more than fun.
Nah, I'm not crying. The first game of the season, week 1, September 11th at Tennessee, in Nashville. I have this as a loss in pencil, but this is always the hardest no matter what the matchup is. Before training camp, this is the hardest game to predict. I have no idea what the state of the offense or defense is going to be.
I have this as a loss in pen, unfortunately. If this game was at home, I might be definitely a loss in pencil, possibly a win in pencil. But to me, there's a lot of moving parts that we're unsure about. We're unsure. We haven't seen this coaching staff during a training camp and preseason schedule. Are they going to treat this like the previous regime or the trend of the NFL, where they're just going to use opening week as the 4th preseason game? Or are they really going to, play the regulars a lot in preseason so they're ready to play in week 1? I mean, this could be a steaming pile week 1 of a team that's just not ready to play. We don't know how they operate yet. So going on the road, it's just too many uncertainties for me. And if this was a better team with a better core and a better roster coming in, I'd be more confident. I am in show me mode. I'm putting this as a loss in pencil.
So you have a loss in pencil, not pen.
That's correct.
Okay. So the way I agree with you 100%, and that's the biggest thing, and that's what makes week 1 the hardest, right? Like I don't know if the defense is ahead of the offense. This is 2 new coaches with 2 new systems. It's a lot. Ignoring all of that, though, just looking at assuming that everything is normal. So say it's the middle of the season. The way I look at this, Tennessee, right? So they have a very good secondary, and they have a pretty darn good linebacker group, but they're kind of weak up front on defense. So there's that. And a lot of this season is going to be predicated on whether or not the Giants are able to score points, because that has been their problem for a while now. I would say probably dating back to 2015 or 14.
Yeah, it's a long time in the NFL.
I had to think really hard about what 2015 was. On the flip side of things, though, Tennessee doesn't really have much at wide receiver anymore. They traded A.J. Brown to the Eagles, and they don't really have a lot at the skill position on offense. So that said, you look at it, and you have Ryan Tannehill's been in the same system for a while with a good, solid coach, and they're more suited to win a slow game of attrition. I think this is a loss. But it comes down to what I think is more interesting question. Is a more athletic version of Ryan Tannehill like peak Daniel Jones? Or do you think he's better than that at peak?
If Daniel Jones is at peak, I think he's got a better arm. Mm-hmm. At least he's a little bigger. I think he could be a little more.
Do you think he's even better than yeah? Okay.
I think if Ryan Tannehill is kind of segued into a crafty veteran at this point in his career, right? He's been around a while. He's a fit into a specific system where you don't need to have the great quarterback. You need to have the game manager, since you have a great running back. Well, let me flip the question back to you. If Daniel Jones can be Ryan Tannehill at his peak, is that enough for you out of your quarterback?
It's enough. Yeah, I think it's enough that I don't see quarterback as an immediate need, where it's just I can build a team that can win lots of games with this quarterback. I think in between seasons, I'm not throwing the idea out of upgrading that position at all. So it's one thing where it's we're okay to roll with this guy because we can win games with him, whatever. But he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Russell Wilson, whatever. If another one of those guys come, I'm absolutely taking him, regardless of any other hole. So yeah, I would stick around with a guy who's as good as that if we had him and he was affordable and whatever. It all comes down to winning games, doesn't it? And
I don't want to turn this into a Daniel Jones conversation, but if Daniel Jones at the end of 2022 is Ryan Tannehill, I mean, what kind of contract is he going to get?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's like everybody assumes that, now again, this is assuming we're not going to franchise him. If we cut a deal with Daniel Jones, we decide we want to keep him, a Ryan Tannehill version of him is not going to cost as much, and also I don't think he's going to have as much. I don't think his value outside the building will be as high as would it be inside the building either.
I'm bad at these things too, because I want to say that in the only scenario in which Daniel Jones is here next year, he's on a franchise tag, no matter what.
Unless he's just off the charts fantastic.
And you think that means that they're able to negotiate a contract with him before tagging him?
I think so.
If he's off the charts, I don't think they're even... The only other way would be if they offer him extension before the end of the year. But I don't know why he would take it. Unless it's
if I were him,
fair.
I would take it. I would either take the franchise tag or I would try to, negotiate before that franchise tag is slapped on him after the season's over.
Yeah, I don't see a way in which that happens. Like, logistically, if he's off the charts good, no matter what, he's going to wind up on the franchise tag because he's not going to take it unless it's used or threatened. He's not going to take any other deal. That's not what he considers to be fair.
Something ridiculous.
A fair... well, that's...
Also,
I don't even want to entertain that idea.
Yeah, off-the-charts Daniel Jones, I think also has to be coupled with off-the-charts Giants win-loss record.
Probably.
And off-the-charts Giants playoff appearance. So it's all these... For that scenario to happen, a lot of things have to go unusually, unexpectedly correct.
Right.
And, let's cross that bridge when we get to it.
But sticking with Daniel Jones talk, Week 2, Sunday, September 18th at 1 o'clock at home against the Carolina Panthers. Sorry, I don't know why I wanted to call them North Carolina for some reason that time. I have this as a win in pencil because I hate Baker Mayfield, the new quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. And sticking with the Daniel Jones talk, I think it's important that we remember that in an interview with, I think, GQ Magazine, Baker Mayfield criticized the Daniel Jones pick, and then he tried to clarify... he tried to walk it back later and then just didn't. He just said a bunch of words that just didn't actually absolve him of what he said. So if we win this game, I'm going to tweet every day for that week the exact quote that he said, which was something along the lines of like, in regards to Daniel Jones and picking him, was like, sometimes people overthink it and they forget that you just need to win games. Something like that. So that's what I'm going to do.
I don't care about Baker Mayfield, what he said or anything. He means nothing to me.
He means something to me because I think he's an asshole. I don't like him, period. Like, that's just...
He always come across as a smart ass. I mean, going back to Oklahoma, like the horns down thing. I mean, it's an act of war in college to do things like that, and it takes a lot of brass balls to do that. You have to be really, really good to do that. I mean, winning is one thing. I don't know. They're picking him up, in the off season. Is he going to be ready to really know the offense and be 100% effective in week 2? Probably not. I thought about this one long and hard. I'm going to say a win in pencil, but the faintest of pencils. This is the type of game where I end up looking silly, like I have false enthusiasm for a team, and it usually burns me. But I think by week 2, I think there'll be improvement from week 1. Carolina's I think they'll squeak out a win, but again, it wouldn't shock me if they lost either.
I have this as a win in pencil, partially because I don't like Baker Mayfield, but also just staying on the offensive side of the ball there for Carolina. They upgraded their offensive line, but otherwise they're just kind of lacking shit all over the place. It's not really that exciting of an offense, Baker Mayfield or not. And on defense, it's pretty solid. It's going to be hard to score points, but again, I'm thinking along the lines that this offense will be a little bit more explosive, a little bit more exciting, and by that I mean they don't have to be performing on all cylinders very well the entire game to score points. They might have an exciting play where they just here and there they score 3 touchdowns on a couple broken tackles or something, and they've got 21 fucking points already.
It's a game they have to win at home.
I agree with that.
If this game's at Carolina, okay, well, a bad team will lose these games on the road, but when you're at home opener. I think the fans will be excited. Obviously, it's the first home game, but I think, hopefully momentum isn't kind of curtailed a little bit if they lose the first week to Tennessee. But it's a game you got to win, because if we lose that,
it's also a week 2 thing. If you lose 2 games in a row at the very beginning of the season, most people are checked out already.
Yeah, it's same old Giants, and you're going to see the Giants record in September in the last 10 years is 2 in a billion, and that whole narrative starts up again. And again, brand new coaching staff, clean slate. They're going to get forgiveness, but you just don't want that cycle to start over again.
Yeah, and it's so disheartening after 2 weeks of what we waited for such a long time for to be checked out mentally.
Right. So again,
I'm saying it's a win in pencil because I need it. Damn it.
Need it. I just think by week 2, I think this coaching staff, again, don't want to play winning the off season, but this coaching staff feels like they're more organized and have a plan and a system more in place than previous ones did. Of course, we probably said the same thing about Joe Judge.
Well, I don't think Joe Judge's problem was his planning. I think it was just what the plan was. I think he was very well prepared. I just think he just wasn't running an offense that was designed to score lots of points. And I think that's kind of where we're different now. We're aiming to score points.
Well, I think we also have the ability, I think, to score more points. We having a much better offensive line than we did last year.
Absolutely true.
Bottom line is, this is a game, unless we are wretched and we're going to be the Anthony Richardson sweepstakes next year, we need to win. And I'm going to be an optimist and say we win this one in pencil.
Week 3, Monday, September 26th at 8:15 at home versus the Cowboys. I have this as a loss in pen, but I will say Cowboys, I don't know what they're doing right now. You look at that offensive line, and it's starting to age a lot. They're significantly less good on offense than they were last. They don't have Amari Cooper anymore. Firepower is still going to be too much for this Giants secondary. So don't. I'm not hyping anything up, but I'm saying Cowboys look like they might be on a little bit of a slide here. They had no reason to not win, the last year. So
yeah, and unfortunately, the Giants aren't the parameter of a team that should be a Super Bowl contender or not. I'm basing this. I have this as a loss in pen as well, and it's got nothing to do with the narrative about they're horrible on prime time.
No, I don't. That shit doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. It's silly. It's lazy journalism. Those are the silly things that it means nothing. I mean, just because whatever their record is in prime time in the last 5 years, we're talking about 2 quarterbacks and 3 coaching staffs and almost a complete flip of the roster. And it's like, the Lions haven't won a Super Bowl ever. And it's like, do you think the current Lions care about what happened in 1969 or 73? It means nothing. So the primetime thing is just, a coincidental thing that happens year over year. I'm basing this loss in pen is they're just not as good as the Cowboys. And, again, to your point, the Cowboys, are they slipping? Are they the best team in the East? That really doesn't matter in this matchup. They're better than us.
No, it doesn't matter in this matchup. No. Yeah. I'm just saying it because they're a division rival. The other thing is that the Cowboys are still going to give this offensive line fits, right? They went out, they got the edge rusher from Ole Miss or wherever. Micah Parsons is still there, but I don't expect it to resemble what happened last year. I mean, last year's offensive line was, first of all, colossally bad, but also not even what the plan was going into the season. I mean, so many guys retired and got hurt that they just like week 1 they're hiring talent to start. You know what I mean? So it's like
you're behind the 8 ball.
I don't think we're seeing this 25 sack season from Micah Parsons against the Giants this year. It's still going to be a problem, but I cannot overstate what it means to have Evan Neal on the right side instead of Nate Solder or whoever else. Matt Parrott. Name a name. This offensive line is better this year than it was last year everywhere. Week 4 versus the Bears, Sunday, October 2nd. This one is also at home at 1 o'clock. I have this as a win in pen. It might be my only one. This is probably the most evenly matched team, right, for the Giants?
Unfortunately, yes.
It's gross.
It's an indictment on us right now more than anything.
No, I think on paper they're a worse team. On paper, in reality, I feel okay about actually making this prediction. Just knowing what I do know. Obviously, I'm making it without knowing what this team looks like. But the
Right
Bears
now.
defense now on paper is a shadow of what it was just a few years ago. And the offense is ho-hum literally all over the place. Name a player on offense besides Justin Fields for the Chicago Bears without looking it up.
Well, hold on. Just go back to Justin Fields for a second. Right now, not what we think is going to happen in 5 years. Right now, if you're starting a game, week 4, the 2022 season, do you rather have Justin Fields or Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones. Not even close.
Okay. Interesting.
It is a right now question. I have seen more from Daniel Jones so far. And I've also paid more attention to him, so I'm able to look past the team failures and not attribute them directly to him, where I can't really do that with Justin Fields. But Fields barely was even on the field last year. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Daniel Jones may not have earned a starting spot week 3 of his rookie year, but he didn't lose it when he started.
That's true.
So, right now, what you're saying, I'm answering that I'd rather have Daniel Jones. I could easily see a situation which, come week 4, I'm singing a different tune. But can you name a player on the Bears offense not named Justin Fields that's a skill position?
Negative.
It's tough, right?
Yeah.
David Montgomery, Byron Pringle was like their big wide receiver
Not
pickup.
exactly household names.
They drafted Velus Jones, who was like kind of more of a special teamer. Dude, I don't know. I would be really disappointed if they lost this game as of right now. I mean, maybe if when we're playing them they're 3-0, I'll change my mind. But I would be pretty disappointed if they lost this game.
What my expectation and disappointment level is doesn't factor into what I think is going to happen. So
no, not at all.
I'm going to put this as a giant win in pencil because, again, I don't think we're good enough to definitively think we're going to beat anybody in this league.
That's fair.
So as a little bit of a preview for the rest of this episode and part 2 of this, see this? See this pen?
Now you don't.
Now you don't.
Yeah, this might be my only pen.
Well, let me amend that. On the giant win by. Okay.
Yeah.
That will. I may have to go back and pick that up in a little bit, but yeah. I this team again. At week 4 of the beginning of this new coaching regime, I don't think they're good enough to beat anybody to say with in pen confidence. So I will. But having said that, again at home, I think it's a little bit of a short rest. It's the Monday night game before, but I think they're good enough to beat Chicago. So I think they'll win this game in pencil.
Week 5, Sunday, October 9th at 9:30 Eastern. They will be in London playing as the visiting team against the Green Bay Packers. I have this as a loss in stone. It's Aaron Rodgers, so apologies to UK Giants fans or just abroad Giants fans. Come on, I don't. It's not even what the Packers are. I just think that
it's what we're not.
This defense is not able to stop a quarterback like Rodgers who can throw even the dumbest wide receiver open. They're just not good enough for that. So it is what it is.
So the highlights of this are, most importantly, Grump and I and our significant others will be going to London for this matchup. Correct. I'll get to see Spurs' new stadium. As a Tottenham guy, I'm excited about that. We will have high tea while we're there. We will have Guinness while we're there.
You can have all the spotted dick you want.
That's my little treat for you, Grump. But
thanks so much,
wonderful. Bro. Yeah, as far as a football game, though, I think okay, let's be. We are not in the same universe as Green Bay. Let me ask you something, though, Grump. Do you think there's a better shot at pulling off an upset at the games in London than it would be in Green Bay?
100%.
Yeah. So
I mean, it just ruins the playing field. It makes it's equally unfair for all parties involved, pretty much. So it's just, I think that's as even as you're going to get it. If they had to travel to Wisconsin, I know it's only October 9th, but it's just the fact that they are playing. It will feel very cold October 9th in very north Wisconsin that it does not feel in New York. I can guarantee you that.
Last time the Giants, or it might have been the last time, when they played there in 2016, it was a Sunday night game, same weekend. It was early October, and it was it wasn't heavy jacket weather, but it was definitely jacket weather.
Yeah, it's one of those things where winter is coming in this area, and you still got time. It's already winter there by that time. You know what I mean? So it's a significant thing, and I know weather is whatever, and they should be able to play in the cold. I'm just saying, if both teams are flying to London, it evens the playing field. Anyway, Week 6, Sunday, October 16th, 1 o'clock, at home versus the Baltimore Ravens. I have this as a loss, but only in pencil. And I think a lot of that comes down to how much does Wink Martindale know how to slow down their offense? And if he does know enough that he can schematically play it to our advantage, Lamar Jackson, I have a lot of respect for, but if Wink Martindale, if anybody knows a weakness that Lamar Jackson has and how to exploit it, it might be Wink Martindale. So I think that evens a little bit, but again, still not even remotely in the same.
Wink Martindale's weakness is it's the Ravens.
So. Yeah, but that's a. It's different because you don't know the personnel. You know what I mean? Like, you don't. I don't know. Yeah. Yes, by week 6, yeah, they might have a good handle of how we're doing things, but it's not the same as, like, when you have an Odell Beckham, you can make your system work a way where Odell Beckham is the feature. The same way, I guess, if you had, like, a Micah Parsons, you might run your defense differently than if you don't. Mm-hmm. Versus Wink Martindale just knowing the system and knowing the quarterback is, I think, a bigger advantage. But I still have this as a loss in pencil. I mean, discipline and speed, I think, are fairly lacking on our defense. Giants just don't have discipline, probably. I don't think. A lot of young guys. And they're not a lot of fast guys. And that plays right into Lamar Jackson's hand because it's all discipline and speed. And it's about being in the right place without having a false step that you will not be able to recover from. So I have this as a loss in pencil with the ambiguity with Wink Martindale.
I have this as a loss in pen. I think the advantage, as much as the Wink Martindale factor is the fact that they're better. It's very pure and simple. I just this is gonna be one of those frustrating games. This might be the first one where I feel the fan base starts to get a little grumpy.
And that's my job.
Exactly. You lose the first game. You're coming off of the Green Bay game. When you come back home, you lose that game, and it's like, oh boy, And then you start to feel a little internal pressure because you got a couple of easy teams to play, granted on the road, but it's like, the season's ending right now, pretty much. Like it's running really short for any hope for things. So, yeah. I just don't think we're in the same class as Baltimore. Unfortunately, nope. I have this as another loss in pen.
Week 7, Sunday, October 23rd at 1 o'clock. Unfortunately, this isn't like a December or January game, but at Jacksonville Jaguars. I have this one as a win in pencil. But I think this is going to be tough. And I'm mainly saying that because... And I always thought he was like a good dude, and I defended him even though he's not that good. But Evan Ingram talking shit to Giants fans on social media. Sorry, man. This is going to have to be a win in pencil for me, dog. But in all seriousness, the Giants should be able to score points in this game. I think they have very little for a secondary, only a hint of a pass rush, not a lot of talent anywhere else on defense. And I think on offense, they have the skill position stuff and they have Trevor Lawrence, but I have no idea what their offense is going to look like now Urban Meyer's not there. And I don't know anything. But
this is the game. There's always one away game and one home game we have no business losing every year. And this just reeks of that game we're going to lose on the road. I don't want to put it as a loss in pen because Jacksonville's bad, but it just feels like a game where we have no business losing it. And I think this is kind of where the season really starts to fall apart. And again, not falling apart like last year. Last year was historic. It led to a downfall of a coach, but a lot of factors. I mean, just okay, we're done really worrying about this year, and now we're thinking about development of this team, looking at a bigger picture. We have no business losing to a team like Jacksonville. I don't think we're as bad as Jacksonville. We are one of the lower rung teams in the league, but Jacksonville, until they show anything, they are one of the worst teams. But it just feels like that game. We're going to go down there. It's going to be low scoring, I think. They're going to hang around. We're going to make mistakes, and we're just going to lose, and they're going to catch holy hell. October 23rd also. Sorry, Yankee fans. I got a feeling you guys are going to be knocked out of the playoffs relatively early, and this is going to be the first real attention, the full attention that the New York sports fan really puts on football. Again, the NFL is king, but in New York, baseball playoffs might be king. And while, there's a lot of Giant fans, if you listen to this show, you're locked in all the time. But the first time I think full attention by everybody will be this week. Oh, and also this means that the Mets are long gone too. So, but this would be a bad loss at a bad time, and their season could be teetering on irrelevancy with this loss. So I don't want this to happen, but I feel like this is kind of a loss, and I'm going to say pencil would be Penn if it was a slightly better team.
They could lose this game. Yeah. I don't think that's absurd. And I think you might be right in terms of bad timing for a bad loss.
Mm-hmm. And then what happens? Then what happens this week before we even get to the next game is that's when the first time you hear the honeymoon's officially over. Not fire Dable, but this is the first time you're going to hear him say some stronger comments in the media after the loss. You might hear, we're going to start to see what his real character's like. And I don't mean that as he's a bad guy or good guy, but how does this guy respond to pressure? And how does he respond to adversity? And I think he might say something that might be, interesting enough. So leading into next week, the results might be different than we might think it might be.
So I have this flipped, I think, from what you have. Week 8, Sunday, October 30th at 4:25, the Giants will be flying the other side of the country at Seattle to play the Seahawks. I have this as the bad loss in pencil. And I say bad loss because, for starters, I don't know who the hell Seattle's quarterback is. Is it going to be Geno Smith? Or Drew Lock?
Do we know? Drew Lock.
Do we know, though?
Well, by week...
We'll know by then, but I don't know right now who that's going to be.
Who knows? I mean, by that point, we could have one shitty quarterback maybe replaced by an equally shitty quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. Either way, it's a piece of shit. And going into this season,
you're rearranging, deck chairs on the Titanic at this point.
Yeah, going into this season, this is probably the ugliest Seattle offense I've seen in years. I mean, they have ho-hum wide receivers.
It might be the worst one I can ever remember because even go back to the expansion years. I mean, they always had a, going.
Nah, those Tavares Jackson years were pretty bad. They always
had somebody.
Nah, Tavares Jackson years were pretty bad. Those were bad years, and the Giants still managed to lose. I think one year, Tavares Jackson. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I mean, and this might be the worst roster Pete Carroll's ever coached. At the NFL level,
I could say that. Sure.
Maybe I'm not real familiar with his New England years, but definitely his worst roster at Seattle. But I have this as a loss because I think the trip is going to be bad. I think they're going to. I don't know. I think this is the bad loss. I think this is the bad one, and I think the trip plays into it. But there's no reason they should lose this game. They should win this game, especially if they think they're on the upswing the way we do. And we're trending in the right direction.
And I have this as a win in pencil. I think this is the rebound week. I think this is, after hearing all the negativity and the noise in the system and all the, same old Giants, blah, 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 maybe if not a meltdown by the coach, but some sort of statement. We've been following this league long enough to know just when you expect something isn't going to happen, the opposite happens. And I think it happens this week. I think, a big core of this team was in Seattle the last time when they went up there. I think they get it done. I think it's the Seattle team, again, without a quarterback, could be a potential real mess. I mean, their season could be spiraling out of control at this point. I'm going to be a little optimistic here and put this as a win in pencil.
There you have it. Week 9 is the bye week, so that is the perfect week for us to stop and split the season perfectly in half to do 8 games and 8 games for the 16-game season. Just kidding, not anymore. It's going to be a pain in the ass again. But before we end this, you have a small announcement. Why don't you tell us all about it?
I do. So if you follow me on Twitter at the Cranky Fan, you know that besides being a diehard Giant fan and also a Nick fan, for all of you guys, we're on the same team. But you may have noticed this pesky annoyance of mine that I am also a Tampa Bay Rays fan and a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, as I am watching the Rays potentially yak up a big lead to Boston right now. But besides the point, you guys probably don't want to hear about my Rays rantings and my Florida Gator rantings or anything. So by the time this show comes out, I will have launched my solo podcast, the Cranky Fan podcast. I'm not going anywhere. Grump and I will still be doing Just Giants as always, but it gives me an outlet to talk about things that you people don't care about. So if you are still interested in what I say outside the Giants world, just keep following me at the Cranky Fan, and I'll have the link up for where that is posted. It'll be a podcast and YouTube show. Grump will be on there quite a bit, but not talking Giants. We'll be, discussing all the things we talk about off air that we're like, this would be great, but no one cares for a Giant show. I'll have, lots of our friends that we have, people that have been on our show before, but talking in a non-Giant capacity, talking about other things. I'll have some Rays and Yankee conversations and stuff. So I'm pretty excited. It gives me just another outlet to talk about things that I need to get off my chest and you people don't care about. So if you, once I, tweet out the links and everything, give me a follow, a subscribe, a like, a rating, all that good stuff. I would appreciate it. So just a little fun bits. You can have more of me, even if you want less of me.
No, that's super exciting though, because the Gator stuff on its own is voluminous. So I don't know. It's all important, but it doesn't have to be in the Giants realm, and it can kind of just be its own thing. And you can be excited about Gators things instead of looking at it the way I look at it, which is like, Anthony Richardson, you really sling at the NFL level, and talk about it in a intellectual level. You get to be a fan and spill beer everywhere and have fun too. And that honestly is the best way to enjoy college football.
I mean, you guys have all seen my Twitter feed. I have different groups of people who follow me. It's a lot of Giant fans do, but a lot of Gators do, and a lot of Rays fans do. And you guys know from April to October, I am probably infesting your feeds with the minutia of an 8th inning Rays Red Sox game where you guys just don't care. And I get that, and I appreciate you haven't unsubscribed to me, but this will give an opportunity for me to talk about those things specifically. And I've linked up with a group, they're called FL Teams. They have a YouTube channel where they talk about all the different Florida teams. So if you want to hear about the Dolphins or the Bucks, like I'm not talking about those shitty teams, but or I'm not talking about the Heat. There might be some Knicks stuff in there, but just another outlet for, if you like the two of us, another opportunity to listen. And
and there's no reason not to there's no reason to deprive fans of that sect of your life,
my brain,
from your good content. And from a college football standpoint, you have a really, really good, it just functions differently. And I don't understand it the way you do. And you're much better at it. And people should listen to you before me about college football things. So
I am a college football fan. Grump is a college football,
appreciator.
Yeah. That's the basis for evaluation he's looking at everything from a recruiting standpoint.
And I can't not.
Of course.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I can't get wrapped up in a team that I don't have a real root in cheering for. I can pretend, but ultimately, if someone on the other team looks really good, I'm going to be excited.
You're a Gator fan. Hey,
I am. But
you're not a maniacal one like me. You're not diehard. But I'd say if pick a team that you like, I'd hope it'd be Florida, or else I'm going to Jersey and beating the shit out of you. But
it's the only college team I have gear for. So, and I have several things. I've got a scarf. I've got a hat. I've got shirts. So. Only college team.
I love it. So yeah.
All right.
Just keep following me at the Cranky Fan. I'm not going anywhere. Grump and I will be together, for a long time, making this show bigger and better, and also be on the lookout for more exciting things that we will have planned when the fall starts. We've been brainstorming about some other different content things, different than what other people are doing, complementing, I would say, not differentiating, but always follow all the great Giant shows that are out there. The goal is for all of us is to make Giant fans the smartest fans in the NFL, and I think the other shows do a great job, and we hope we help as well. So.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, yeah, the good news is not limited to just your own project. There will be changes to this show as well that are exciting. I'm really happy about, and they're upcoming. They're still being ironed out, but they are definitely happening. So
yeah,
all good news all around. But the best news is that right now it's the middle of the summer, and you guys should be enjoying it. I know we are. So we will see you all next week for the second half of this, and our shit talking will be over by then. By the second half, we will already be, I guess, pummeling the other one in the dirt for
we'll be
humiliating
the fishing champ by then. We'll have a lot to talk about then. So
yeah. All right, everyone. We will see you next time. Go Giants.
Go Giants.